Greetings, beautiful beings. I hope you all are drinking water and taking care of yourself. I'm Fatima, the co-birther and flow director of Loving Healing Work. Um, Thank you for tuning in on um, the YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever function it is that you are tuned in. Thank you for being here. I would like to give it just a couple of more moments so people can log on and tune in. But we are here and we are live. Thank you for joining us for Decolonizing the Consciousness. And yes, I hope you are drinking water, you have tea, a journal, something that makes you feel good and warm on the inside. That would be helpful for right now. I'm going to take some time to just check to see if it's streaming right, technology. And then we'll get started with some grounding and some breath work. If that works for all of you. Oh, happy Black History Month. It was Mardi Gras. It was also Ash Wednesday. And there was also a new moon. So I hope that everyone is flowing this new moon energy in a way that doesn't cause you or others harm. Because that would be cool. If that was a thing. So let's see. Am I live? Oh, I am. Good me. Because that would be cool. If that was a thing. All right. So I should have. I'm learning. Y'all watching me learn as we go. Like you're watching me do a thing as we go. So, and I wanted to share this link because I know that people were looking for it. And then we're gonna get started like in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to make sure that I gave people the link for this talk because I didn't want people to say, I didn't know. You didn't tell me. All right, beautiful. Well, you are all beautiful. All right. All right, beautiful beings. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all are drinking water and taking care of yourself. So I would love to get started with some grounding work and just some connection to the body. So I'm inviting you to just be with your body, whatever you are doing. I hope you're not tiring or anything. But whatever you're doing, I invite you to just notice it. Bring attention into your body. Can you notice that you're inhaling and exhaling? What would it be like to just experience whatever it is your body feels with each inhale and exhale? Before you start doing anything at all, I just ask you to be present with yourself, to allow yourself to be where you are, wherever that is. And then, can you invite your body to be present from the place of inviting your spine to be engaged, your core to be engaged? What would it be like if you rolled your shoulders away from your ears? Like opened up your heart. And if you have your feet on the ground, just pressing them into the ground with intention. like you know that they're there, as well as inhaling and exhaling. Remembering to inhale and exhale. I always like to give gratitude before starting any experience. So I like to give thanks for all that is and was and will be. Everything that had to come together for all of us to be here and now together, wherever we are. Grateful for this beautiful thing called breath, because we're all breathing the same air on the same planet at the same time, which reminds us we are not alone even when we're physically alone. I'm grateful for our ancestors, the ones that taught us that we don't have to be with trauma, that we're trauma free, and knew that they were connected to all. Grateful for our ancestors that taught us reconciliation and forgiveness. They taught us endurance and how to flow from our trauma to this beautiful light and healing space. And I'd like to give thanks for everyone that is tuning in or will watch this. I give thanks for you, for everything that had to come together for you to exist here and now. I am so grateful. I am so grateful that you are alive and that this world gets to experience you. Oh, how lucky are we that we get to be in a time where you exist. How grateful and amazing is our life now because you exist in it. So thank you for existing. Thank you for your love and your light. Whoever you give it to, I am thanking you for them. Thank you. Thank you for your smile. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for just being. Your being is just wonderful. I'm going to invite us to take 3 deep breaths together, inhaling in through our nose and out through our mouths. When we inhale, I'm going to invite us to expand our belly away from our bodies. And then on the exhale, contract our bellies towards our bodies. And I'm going to invite you to think about what you are grateful for and what do you love. And allow your breath to expand and open up your heart. Today is Heart Chakra Day. And so on the count of 3, I'm going to extend the invitation for us to just breathe together. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And I invite you to just breathe on your own regularly, allowing yourself to breathe in and out with this level of gratitude. What are you grateful for? I invite you, if you have access to the chat wherever you're watching this, is to just put in what you're grateful for and what is bringing you joy today. So, what are you grateful for? What's bringing you joy today? And if you want us to know your name, you can tell us that too. And while you all do that, I would like to tell you who I am and why this work is this work and what it is that decolonizing the consciousness is. And then I'm going to pause and I'm going to check in and then I'll talk some more. And then I'm going to pause and check in because that's what I'm going to do. So I'm grateful that you're here. So I'm Fatima Man. I'm the co-birther and flow director of Loving Healing Work. We are a advocacy, training, consulting, and coaching retreat firm. We assist people and businesses with cultivating culturally mindful, healing, and human centered experiences, training, and policy. And we also do advocacy work from a lens of making sure that people that need help navigating various systems, like the criminal justice system, child welfare system, systems that usually disenfranchise groups of people. We assist individuals flow through learning and maneuvering through that system. I um, am a being that never wears shoes, and I haven't worn shoes for almost 8 years in April. This matters because this not wearing shoes actually is how I began to decolonize my consciousness. When I started not wearing shoes, I realized that there was a lot of things the world told me was true and wasn't true. And one of them is that you can't live your life without shoes. You can't live in the United States without shoes. And I've been living without shoes for almost 8 years. Um, so, not wearing shoes, what does that mean? That means that I go everywhere without shoes, planes, trains, cars. I travel, I do things without shoes. And we have been colonized, and I use this concept of colonize a consciousness, is that colonization is a thing that occurred without anyone's consent, right? No one that has been colonized said, hey, please colonize me. No one said, please come to my country, take my resources, rip away my culture, my gods, the way that we do things. No one's done that. There's nothing in the history books that has been illustrative of individuals consenting to colonization. So, colonization and colonialism and a colonized consciousness are all a non consensual concepts, right? So, any concepts that stem from them are all concepts that most of us aren't consenting to engage in. They're concepts that was given to us by our colonizers. So, what does it mean to decolonize the consciousness? Well, it's really asking yourself a bunch of questions, most, if not all the time. And we'll talk about those questions and we'll talk about what it means to move through a colonized consciousness. And thank you for those that are in the chat. Divinity, I see you. And Mother's Kitchen, I see you. Thanks for being here. And thanks for sharing. All right. So, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for this work. I'm grateful for taking my shoes off 8 years ago and learning, almost 8 years ago, and learning that what I believe to be true, what I was taught was true, what the world said I had to do and how I had to do it isn't really true. I mean, it may be true, but it's not factual, right? So I'm grateful for healing and transformation. I'm grateful for companionship. I'm grateful for love. I'm grateful for the people in my life who choose to love me and choose to be in my life. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful for all of you that decided to be here and right now. Um, and I'm grateful for all the things that are coming that align with my divine purpose that I don't know what to ask for, but I know that's mine to have. I gotta do the catch all. And what's bringing me joy today? Well, I so I got to use my lawyer brain, so I get to be a healer a lot, and I love healing. I love caring for people. I love nurturing people. It's my calling. I love being here with people, moving through things with people. It's my favorite. And also being a nerd and learning and expanding my intellectual capacity is also a thing that I really love to do. And so I've been working on a resource guide for a keynote that I'm doing next week. And I finished it today. And it's bringing me joy because it's my first one. And it came out to 5 pages, and I'm not ashamed. Um, and I did it. I absolutely did it. So I that's bringing me joy to do something that I haven't done, that was new for me in this capacity, and I did it. So that's what's bringing me joy today. Thank you all for listening. Boom. All right. So, colonized consciousness. Let's just talk about it, right? Historically speaking, a lot of places of people of the world majority, that's what I call people of color, and or people of African descent, most of those places have been colonized by a group of individuals from usually Europe. Now China is getting into it, but we'll say right now we'll just stay with European colonization that has been around for, let's just say, 6 or 7 centuries, right? So this colonization um, that most of us know as our regular lives has played a role in the gods we serve, how we heal, how we think, how we speak, how we eat, how we relate to ourselves, and how we relate to others. So let's just think about it from this perspective. February is Black History Month, is what I like to call it. And it is a month that we were given to honor the contributions of people of the African diaspora. So most times, though, when we talk about Black History Month, we're talking about it from the sense of slavery, right? We stop at slavery and the transatlantic slave period time. We're not even talking about slavery that went before then, but it's usually slavery. And then the contributions of people of African descent after slavery has happened. Now, what is beautiful about knowing the history of people of African descent is that we existed before we were enslaved by European countries. So before the Portuguese got into the slave trade, before the Spaniards got into the slave trade, before the English did, the Dutch, before all of them got into the slave trade, there were people of the African descent, and they were on this beautiful, amazing continent called Africa. And they not only were kings and queens, but they were astrologers and mathematicians, and they were historians and herbalists, and they were doctors, and people strived. They were plumbers, electricians, in the sense that not electricity existed, but they flew. They knew how to allow energy to move in ways that served the people. So most of us that live in colonized countries, we don't honor that far back in African history. We don't go all the way back to the people of African descent that came to these lands, that gave us our melanin, that gave us ways to heal, ways to engage with one another. We don't know those ways because what we were given was by the victor being the colonizer, and the colonizer got to choose what we learned, what God we served, and how we served. So when thinking about colonized consciousness, is thinking about it from the factual historical context that there's these groups of people that committed war, and in their war they took over other people's lands, and they took their God away, they took their culture and how they spoke away, and they forced them to have their language, they forced them to serve their God, they forced them to do these things. How does that play a role into 2023? Well, if you believe that the God that you're given is of a white body, and you're not of a white body, and they say that only that God's children are of white bodies, God's chosen people are of white bodies, then you're starting to believe that the only people and or persons that God sees is of a white body. And now you're trying to do everything that's similar or the same to the white body. And so what we do begins with what we think. And most of the time, what we think isn't consensual. We're not consenting to the types of thoughts that we have about ourselves, about others, and the planet. I mean, how many of us have thought the worst about ourselves because someone else said it? We're not consenting to thinking the worst about ourselves. The worst about ourselves because of the body that we're in. The worst about ourselves because of the color of our skin. The worst about ourselves because of the way that we speak, the way that we look. The fact that we don't engage in life the way others do. We have been colonized to be separate, not just separate from others, but from ourselves, from our true, deep, beautiful, and wonderful self. Our colonizers has taken us away from this. One example, I learned consent through from a tree. I learned consent from a tree. The first year I took my shoes off. I wanted to climb this tree because I climb trees, and I couldn't climb this tree. It was an easy tree too, like didn't look hard to climb at all. And it took me until my third time to climb this tree. Now I went up two times and I felt okay. I just came right back down, and I heard something say, "Ask it." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And someone said, "Ask it." So I put my hands on the tree with my feet. I closed my eyes and I said, "Can," and I just did this energy of, "Can I climb you?" And once I did it, I took a couple of deep breaths and I climbed up the tree. No problem. Now my friend who was with me, Adam Cleach, they climbed blah 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 blah. She climbs trees as well. She tried to climb the tree and couldn't climb the tree. I told her, "You got to ask the tree." She looked at me. I said, "I know." She asked the tree, and then she came up the tree with no problem. This was the first moment I realized that we live in a society that doesn't teach us to ask all living things consent, even the tree. Trees and plants, they are living, right? They engage in some form of living way of being. Pets, animals, they're all living. Most of us engage with these animals and plants without any consent. We just go up and touch them, start climbing on them. There's no, "Hey, I'm Fatima. I would like to touch you or be in your presence." It's like, no, we just start. But again, let's think about it. If our colonizers took over our land, took over our gods, took over our ways, took it from us without consent, then of course they're going to teach us ways that aren't consensual. They can only teach us what they do. Our colonizers has taught us to take what we want. Take the plant, take the flower, take the animal, take whatever. You don't got to ask it, just do it. Most of us do that with ourselves. Most of us are in non-consensual relationship with ourselves, which is the way in which our colonizers have taught us to be, because people who are in consensual relationships with themselves are harder to control. If you are checking in with you before you listen to me, then it's harder for me to control you, because you're going to ask yourself, should I be doing this? Does this make sense? Does this serve me? Even after I tell you something you should do, if you ask yourself those questions every time you are told something, why am I doing this? Where did I get this from? Does this serve me? It's harder to control that kind of thinking, because now you're thinking freely. Now you're saying, okay, well, I learned this behavior from my mother. And because I learned it from my mother, then I'm going to engage in it. I'm okay with it. Or you're saying, or you're saying, "Oh, I learned this behavior from my father. I really don't like this behavior. It's not serving me, so I'm not going to do it anymore." Now you're in consensual relationship with how you engage with yourself, how you act with yourself. We have been colonized to be disconnected from what we want and need and what serves us. Most of the time, we're doing things because they've always been done. Our mother did it, our parents done it, somebody in our life has done it, so why not? Doesn't mean it serves us, doesn't mean it aligns with our purpose. It just means it's what we've been doing. Now, what if you chose something different? What if you were told that instead of grieving at work and being numb, 9 to 5, what if someone said you should just go home, take as much time as you need, and you get paid? What if our society was set up to honor the human experience? But again, colonization doesn't honor the human, it honors the system. Colonization doesn't honor the needs of the human. It's not a consensual relationship. Colonization, there's victors and there's those that have been oppressed. There's oppressors and the oppressed. So, in how we think, if those that oppressed us have conditioned us to believe that we are either oppressed and or we are not, then isn't that a beautiful way to think too? The limited mindset, the harmful mindset, harming oneself and saying that it's for the greater good of all. But to decolonize one's consciousness, it's being able to say that you matter and asking questions like, what do I believe? What do I value? Why do I value these things? Where did I get these values and beliefs from? Decolonizing the consciousness is really all about asking questions and then moving with the answers. Why do you eat the food that you eat? Why do you respond the way that you do when someone says they love you? Why do you center everyone else's needs before your own? Where did you learn that behavior from? Why is that a behavior that you have? Is that a behavior that serves you and your life's purpose? Is that a behavior you want to continue to engage in? Whatever the answers to those questions are, doesn't matter. It's the fact that you sat down to answer them. So when you're engaging in life, in situations, and with people, it's from a place of consent. You got to choose. You chose. Like, for example, I'm going to share. So I'm allergic to gluten, soy, um, dog hair, cat fur, all types of fur, all types of feathers. Um, yeah, I'm just allergic, right? But I really like bread. I love bread. I mean, you give me a good like croissant and I'm just right? But when I eat a croissant, like I break out, I start coughing. My voice gets even more raspier than what it is right now. And I'm slightly uncomfortable. So before I started decolonizing my consciousness, I was taking Benadryl every single day. So I had actually no idea that I was allergic to all these things. And so when I stopped taking Benadryl, I realized I was allergic. And so before I decide to eat anything that I know that I'm allergic to, I ask myself, is this worth it? I ask my body, can we handle the reaction? And then I'm consenting to whatever it is my body says do. So my body says, hey, no, you haven't slept. You haven't really been taking care of yourself. Eating gluten right now or eating gluten today probably wouldn't be the best thing. Then if I am in consensual relationship with myself, then I'm going to do what my body says do, and that's not eat the gluten. If I'm connecting with myself from a decolonized consciousness, then I'm connecting from this place of recognizing I cannot cause myself harm and call it love. I know that I'm not loving myself when I eat the gluten, but it's really good and I enjoy it. But am I really loving myself if I'm harming myself? No. But I'm still moving from a colonized consciousness sometimes because I know where I get emotional eating from. I know why I do it. And if I choose to, I'm choosing to. That's sovereignty. Decolonize consciousness is recognizing what you do, why you do it, where you get it from, and you're okay with the impacts of your behavior. And then you move accordingly. So we've been colonized to not ask ourselves questions. So our self-awareness is limited. We don't take time to self-reflect. We have no idea what we want, who we are, how to explain ourselves to people. And if we do, how we explain ourselves to people are usually attached to some sort of label, some sort of definition that doesn't align with who we actually know ourselves to be. Because we've been colonized to believe we have to work for somebody else 9 to 5. We have to do things for the sake of other people, family, friends, lovers, jobs, status. And then, because we've been conditioned to believe those things, our thought processes align with doing things that don't bring us into alignment, but only align with what those that need us to do what they're bidding. That's really it. But this is your life. This is our lives. When we're flowing from a decolonized consciousness, we're flowing from this knowing that we are creators. We get to create the lives that we have. We get to choose how we spend our time and our energy. It's the one thing we can't get back: time and energy. That's why people pay us for it. But the time and energy isn't being put into ourselves. Half the time, it's being put into running a business, building a relationship, all these external factors. But it's never really asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is what I'm doing serving me? Who taught me these behaviors? So, for example, another one, the label of child, daughter, son all come with these characteristics that will say you're supposed to place yourself in harm's way for the sake of being a good a good daughter, son, child, etc. We've been colonized to believe those that are older than us and as if they have our best interests in heart. But hurt people, and most of them hurt, and so they're creating hurtful traits and environments, and then telling us we should subscribe because that's how it's always been. But why? Why do we have to do it that way? Why do we have to continue to do it in ways that cause ourselves and others harm? Oh, yeah, because colonizers, that's all it is, right? It's harmful. Colonization is harmful. Taking away how people move through the world is harmful. So bringing it back, that's liberation. Allowing people to choose how they move through the world because they are moving through it the way they want to, not because that's how it's always been done. So decolonizing the consciousness is really a self-reflective and self-awareness practice. Really beginning with, why am I doing this? Where did I get this behavior from? Does this behavior serve me? And being able to identify that it might like sting a little bit, to realize that what you're saying or thinking or doing doesn't serve you and you're really only doing it because of dot dot dot. Mommy said, daddy said, grandma said, auntie said, teacher said, preacher said. What do you say? Who are you? What do you want? How is what you're thinking, speaking, and acting relate to your mission on this beautiful place we call Earth? Are you doing what you've been told to do by societal norms because it works for society, or does it work for you? Are you choosing every part of your life, or are you allowing what society says should be a part of your life to choose what you do, what you say, how you move, how you relate to yourself and others? Because freedom is being free from others and their ideas of what and who you should be. They're not you. There's only one you. We have been colonized to be disconnected from everything, including ourselves. We have been colonized to listen to the preachers, to the judges, to the teachers, to our parents, to everybody else but ourselves. What do you want? How do you want it? What do you want and how do you want it to look and feel to you? Not because it's going to help someone else or it's going to make this person feel better or you made this promise. I mean, who cares? You are the most important person in your world. It is you, not anyone else. If everyone else in your world is not more important than you, and I'm sorry if somebody didn't tell you this before this moment, you matter most in your world. Because if you don't matter most, if you can't care for yourself most in your world, then you can never expect someone to care for you, to see you. And you can never really care for someone else if you're not caring for you. And caring for oneself is asking oneself questions because you care enough to, right? Because when you care about somebody else or something, you ask questions, you do research, you look into it. Decolonizing the consciousness is the process of doing research and looking into oneself. That's it. Because no one can tell you who you are when you know who you are. No one can tell you why you do what you do, why you think what you think, why you speak what you think. If you if you know, if you've taken the time to ask yourself and answer these questions, I can't tell you anything about you because you took time to figure it out on your own. That's not being stubborn. That's being self-aware. It's being self-factual. Like factually speaking, I love people. Oh my goodness, I love people so much. I do, and I don't like people. Factually speaking, I don't like people all the time. I like to be by myself. I'm an Aquarian. Like I can spend a lot of time in solitude. That's okay for me. It's a fact, and I consent to being that way. I consent to the traits of being Aquarian in a lot of ways. I consent to the traits of being any type of label that gives me a box. If I'm utilizing it, I am consenting to whatever the assumptions are about that language, about that term, about that label, whatever. So I thought about it. No one can tell me who I am unless you're repeating what I said I am to me. No one can tell me that I should be a certain way. You know how many people have told me to put on shoes or said that I wouldn't be able to be where I am right now because I didn't wear shoes? I graduated law school without shoes. I've done disaster relief work without shoes. I've led marches without shoes. I've traveled without shoes. I've healed myself and others without shoes. Not wearing shoes has actually made me a lighter and brighter being. But if I listened to what I was colonized to believe, and that is wearing shoes is the only way that you're going to succeed in this body, in this country, then I wouldn't be where I am right now. I asked myself, why do I want to take off my shoes? I've always wanted to not live my life without shoes. Why do I believe that I should wear shoes? Well, because the society told me that I needed to have to wear shoes in order to make it. Where have you ever seen people not wear shoes? Well, I've seen white men not wear shoes. So then I was like, well, if white men can do it, I can definitely do it. And does it serve me? Absolutely. I've seen things and gone places that people with shoes don't go because I can. I don't walk the same paths as people that wear shoes. My perception is factually different than people that wear shoes. And I enjoy it. I enjoy honoring that my perception is different. And if I can honor my perception, then it also allows me to honor other people's. Easy. But why? Why not wear shoes? I ask myself this question often. I answer the question and I continue to not wear shoes because I answered it and it serves my purpose. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. I used to cuss people out when I got mad. Oh my goodness, I used to cuss people out all the time when I got mad because that's what I thought you did. Or it wasn't, I cussed you out, I was cold or I was mean to you because I didn't know in my body and I didn't think in my thoughts that there are so many other ways that I can respond when I'm mad because I was conditioned to believe that when someone hurts me and or I am hurt and or mad, that the response should be coldness, meanness, and distance. And I was colonized not to ask myself any questions until I started asking myself questions. Why do you respond like this? Where did you get this from? Does this serve you? How does this serve you? Do you want to continue to respond like this? Do you like the impact of this response? Are there other ways to respond when you're mad? The answer to those questions I answered. There are other ways to respond when I was mad. I don't know. I had to learn them. I took my time and energy not chasing money, not chasing other people's implanted dreams. I spent my time and energy chasing myself, seeing who it is I am, and realizing I am connected to all. So if I hurt you, then I hurt me. If I cuss you out and cause you harm, I am harming myself because who I am is connected to all that is. We are all connected. It's a universal truth. We're all energy, and energy never ends and it flows here, there, and everywhere. We are all connected, yet have been colonized within our consciousness to believe that we're all alone, that we experience things all alone, and that what we do doesn't impact others. When you talk bad about yourself, it impacts the people around you. When you treat yourself not so greatly, it impacts those around you. We are all connected. When we start treating ourselves in this amazing, wonderful, consensual way, it is the complete opposite of what we were colonized to do. We were colonized to do what our colonizers told us to do. We have been working for people and systems more than we have been allowing ourselves to work on and with ourselves and those that we love. They created a 52-week calendar and said 50 of those weeks we're supposed to work, and they're going to spread some holidays in between them, but 50 out of the 52 is taken. What? How? Why? Where did that come from? Who made that up? Who does that benefit? Does that benefit any of us? No, because we're spending more time relating to what others are doing and needing from us than relating to who we are and what we need. Asking ourselves, what do I need? Hmm. How do I need it? and then giving it to ourselves. We don't do that because we got to go to work. We got to take care of this person. This person needs us. That person called us. This person said this over here. Society said that over there. And then now you're burnt out. You're sick. You still don't have what you need. And then slightly upset about it. But it's by design. We've been colonized to be on this conveyor belt of put everybody else's thoughts, beliefs, and values about you, about what we should be doing above ourselves. Those that know me know I don't put anybody's thoughts and opinions before my own. I check in with me first, and I see how I feel about it and how I think about it, and then I honor everybody else's thoughts and opinions. But I can't honor anybody else's thoughts and opinions if I don't even take the time to honor my own. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Where did this come from? Asking this question, why, people don't like it when little humans do it. I love it. I love when little humans ask all the questions because it's just, it's so good because it makes you think. Why? How did you learn that? How do you know? Little humans, how do you know? And then that makes us think about how do I know? Why do I do this? I invite you all to think about this in regards of decolonizing one's consciousness is asking yourself, why? Why do I do this? How do I know this? And does it still serve me? And the being that I'm working to become and the being that I am, does it serve me? A lot of times it don't. It doesn't serve us. So, decolonizing the consciousness is a consensual practice of asking ourselves questions like, why do I do this? Where do I get this from? Does this serve me? How do I know? Daily, when those thoughts start creeping in, you're not good enough, you suck, no one loves you, you're always going to be alone. Why do I think this way? Where did I get this from? Does this serve me? How do I know this to be true? And working through it. Because half the time, it's BS. It's somebody else's voice trying to tell you that you're not good enough, trying to tell you that you shouldn't be where you are, trying to tell you that you don't deserve love, trying to tell you that you don't deserve to be adored, just trying to say that you don't deserve to be worshiped and seen. All those things aren't true. When you ask yourself, you'll realize. And then your standards go up. The bar is different. People can't talk to you any type of way. They can't treat you any type of way. You're not manifesting individuals that don't align with who you are because now you know who you are and what you want and why you want it. And that's the point, is freedom, right? We live in life to be free. We're not living life to make money. We're not living life to please other people. It's freedom. And freedom can come with ease if we choose it. And that freedom just comes with asking questions. Because again, no one can tell you who you are if you've already learned it for yourself. So decolonizing consciousness is just that. So I'm going to pause, see if anybody wants to put anything in the chat. If you have any questions, thank you for engaging. For those of you that are, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going to drink my tea and pause for a second. All right. So we teach decolonizing on the consciousness through the lens of being culturally mindful. And so, being culturally mindful is the self awareness of one's cultural norms, which then allows self awareness of others. And cultural norms being a set of values, beliefs, and behavioral standards that can be seen in individual and or group actions and or thoughts. So, cultural mindfulness is a theology or ideology, if you will, of one of three of loving healing work. So we help people cultivate culturally mindful healing and human-centered experiences, practices, and policies. So decolonizing the consciousness is a part of being culturally mindful. What does it mean to be in consensual relationship with oneself? Is a part of being a part of doing the decolonizing unconsciousness work. So this live or this lecturing series, if you will, is really to encourage people to think differently about themselves first. These lives are just information about what I think many of us know to be true, but we don't take time to question and sit with self, is that a lot of the things that we believe isn't from the freedom of who we actually are and who we're actually made to be. What we think, what we value, what we do is usually based off of some norm that wasn't created by ourselves. So, liberating our consciousness, gaining freedom, healing, and loving ourselves um, is the work, and this live is a part of the work. And knowing that we are amazing and wonderful and extraordinary because we choose to be, because we choose to do the work, because we choose to put time and energy into expanding and healing and transforming ourselves. And we're all of these things no matter where we are on our journey. Um, I invite you to have grace for yourself as you start this journey or as you continue this journey of asking oneself questions, breaking cycles, because this is how we break cycles, is asking the why do we do things? It doesn't serve me. Will I continue to do them? These things allow us to, well, these ways of thinking allows us to mitigate harm. And the goal is to live a wonderful, happy life without harming ourselves or others or the planet. So these series are just series that we'll do sporadically throughout the year. You can always enroll in a loving healing work course and or just work with me in a one-to-one or group setting, whatever you choose. You can follow us on Loving Healing Work. Join our Mighty Networks, which is actually on our website. And yeah, you are all amazing. I'm grateful you decided to log on and to join and to be present. It's pretty cool to do this work. So thank you for doing this work with myself and yourself. I want you to know that you matter. Who you are, what you are, matter. You are loved. Everything about you is loved. Even the things you may not like about yourself make you, make you great. That is loved too. You are enough in this moment. You are seen. You have people that want to be here with you and for you. So allow yourself to receive the love of those that want to love you. Allow yourself to receive what it's like to be chosen and adored. And please drink water and take care of yourself because you deserve it. You deserve to be cared for. You deserve to be hydrated. You deserve to be nourished. Have a wonderful evening. Love.